Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Mardek, and we just took down the zombie warrior here. Let's take a quick look at our characters, because if I remember correctly, well, we were trying to set some stuff up. Most notably, we perhaps did not choose the most opportune of times to swap back over to the Iron Sword on Mardek. However, it was, at least theoretically, put on this reaction that I apparently got to equip. So, maybe we can sneak that one in. Finally master it so that we can swap over to the Silver Sword for the higher damage. Oh, the other thing that came to mind was, oh yeah, you know, we kind of had this accessory slot completely empty on Mardek. How I did not notice that before, I just don't know. So I know we were talking earlier about the Ring of Vitality and how that was not a great item at this stage in the game, but well, it might end up being the thing that we ought to put there, because otherwise, it seems like we've, for the most part, run out of particularly strong accessories here. We could use the Ring of Agility as well, plenty of those, or Ring of Strength here. Pickaxe Pendant is okay, +1 defense, +1 strength. Silver Pendant from magic defense standpoint, probably our strongest option. Mardek has already mastered the Insomnia ability, so not a lot of reason to put on the Cog Necklace. In which case, yeah, not seeing anything at the moment that really jumps out at me as the best option there. Or we could go back to using the Copper Ring just for a little bit more physical defense. Mardek is very good on the physical defense side of things. That would bring him all the way up to 9. However, I think on this occasion, you know what? I'm going to go back on my word. We'll put on the Ring of Vitality. And the other thing is, if I remember correctly, not Mardek, Fern, I think just got a level, because you see here, he does now have enough reaction points to use the Smite ability for his offensive reactions, and like I was saying before, that is amazing. So you love to see that. Let's take a look at the map here, and ooh, we're very close to missing something back here. And we'll get into a random fight, and this is maybe just the opportunity we were looking for. Give Mardek the opportunity to master that offensive reaction on his sword. Do we deliberately pass here and allow Mardek time to get some hits in? Granted, skeletons are going to go for Mardek, so that does mean we're going to take a lot of hits if we do let that happen. So maybe we let that happen a little bit later, or we opt to take it a little more gradually. Oh, I just flat out missed that reaction. Defensive reaction opportunity as well, of course. Okay, here you go, Mardek. This is your opportunity. Fortunately, didn't miss that reaction there. So we could, if we wanted to, say, deliberately take out one skeleton here, and then if there's only one left, then I don't feel as bad about allowing it to get some hits on us. Except, again, really, the whole point of that is to make sure that we do hit the reactions. I think Mardek may need one more offensive reaction to master that sword. Offensive reaction? Let's double check. In which case, hopefully that can happen quite soon. One more. Okay. And it is this one here? No, I must have gone past it. It's the other. Yep. It's this one up here. Mugwort Juice. 500 HP. Not bad. Fern doesn't have one of those yet, so put that on him. And is there anything else up here? No. So this is the type of location where we saw, I believe it was Dugan's Greatsword, or maybe it was the second Silver Sword. We saw a hidden item of that variety in one of those locations. Nothing this time, though. But it was enough to make me double check. Now here, for example, we were talking about how Fern's Smite ability might be enough to, yes, allow him to deal extra damage even to enemies that had high defense. I believe that Bloodclot was going to have 25 defense, and yet Fern destroyed it like it was nothing. And Dugan should theoretically be able to just use a normal attack here, just barely. Mardek, here is your opportunity, buddy. I believe that is the mastery right there. Granted, not quite enough to finish off the zombie. Hamlet will take this opportunity, though, to maybe at least try to leech some mana. But Vern takes care of it, no problem. So let's confirm as to whether we did master that ability, and mana berries. We really don't have a lot of them. There it is. Okay. Fantastic. In that case, we can definitely put the silver sword back on. And... oh, hold on. Before we move on, let's make sure that Mardek has Quarry Undead. He does have the reaction points to equip that skill. Double check in here. Anything else on him? Nope, still working on Vim, the anti-zombification skill. Otherwise, let's move on here. Head on over. And double check, I suppose. Are there any other chests in here? There is one more. We have not yet seen it, but theoretically it's likely in this one little area here that we have not yet explored. And at this stage, I think it's mostly defensive reactions of various varieties that we have not yet mastered. Does that mean that we deliberately want to allow enemies to attack us? Now, typically that would be the way that you would master them, of course. There's no other way to do that. Is that something we want to do this very instant? Yes, I mean, that would be the quote-unquote correct thing to do. Ideally, you would do it near a save crystal. That way, if and when you do take hits, you can heal right up immediately afterward. And there you see, Dugan did finally master the Resist Earth passive ability from the Geo Jacket. And that is fantastic, because we have several other defensive skills, I believe, that he still would like to learn. Let's double check what the best chestplate to put on him might be. Burns chestplate does have the magic defensive reaction. That's an option for sure. Otherwise, oh, the Bone Mail. For Purity, resistance to dark, vulnerable to light, resist curse. That might be an interesting way to go, actually. Let's try that. Because I think Dugan, if we go back over to him, has mastered everything on the bandit leather, yes. And spiked hide armor, that as well. So yeah, he, I think, is a little bit ahead of the curve here. Might be the furthest along in terms of defensive reactions. And we definitely would like to get the Geo Jacket on someone else. Question then would be who? And remember, it is an item that even Emla can equip. Emla's not very close to mastering that magic defense reaction on her current robe here. Granted, this is pretty strong. It will take a while for her to master this too, like 50 battles, a long time. So, I think Emla is probably the furthest away from mastering her defensive reactions on her current chestplate. Therefore, I think we do have to put it on Emla here. Could certainly make a case for putting it on other people as well. And if we do keep the Resist Earth ability on Dugan, that does mean he will not have enough RP to try to level up the Purity ability and master that. I do probably still think it's worth holding on to Resist Earth for the time being, and the item that he is equipping, one we just put on him, Bone Mail, I believe does, yeah, already give 100% resistance to curse. So for the time being, he'll be fine. It's just that long term, we will want to switch that ability back onto Dugan so that he can take off the Bone Mail and still be able to resist curses. I think that's about it for now. So let's carry on here. And again, theoretically, there's a chest here somewhere. And, well, doesn't appear to be here. But I suppose we can loop back around this way. And then check. Over here. Okay. Let's see what this is. Just a better potion. And again, I think the idea is probably to put those on people other than Mardek, on the assumption that Mardek has the most access to healing at the moment. Oh, Emla, we need to equip Earth Resist after having just put on the Geo Jacket. Yeah, that's kind of important. Let's make sure we do that after this fight. One skeleton down. These guys shouldn't be much of a problem, especially when there's only 3 of them, because it does mean that everyone, except for Mardek, get the opportunity to get a hit in here. We can take them all out in one hit. Remember, Mardek will go to being a very strong offensive character, at least against the undead enemies at this stage, now that he has the Silver Sword again. Okay, so let's head up through here. And have we been to this area? We have. Again, one of those instances where we saw all these blue dots here. Different areas on the map that we did not yet have access to. Now we are getting there. Here's another instance of one of these locations, giving us a solid item at that. So this can remove any and all status effects. That's probably best to load up on Emla, because if she gets cursed, she's in bad shape. There's another one. Oh, over to the right. Some chest of some variety. Oh, and I already forgot to re-equip the resist earth. We'll get it on the next one. Eventually. Do not take a step. Put that ability on. Hold on. There it is. It does, of course, cost a lot of RP. Granted, I don't necessarily think that any of these things are strictly necessary at the moment. That does bring, in terms of resistances, our party members such that Emla is above 100%. Dugan is very high on Earth resistance, but not at that 100 or above 100 threshold. And then everyone else, mostly we're talking a little bit of light resistance and some dark weakness, because we're talking about 2 light elemental party members. And I don't think we've looked at any of these screens yet, but this is the status effects and resistances to them screen. And then also experience, how close people are to leveling, how many battles people have participated in, how many kills, how many times they've been knocked down. So that's actually interesting that Mardek and Vern are the only 2 people who have, and Emla, who normally would be our weakest character in terms of survivability, has actually not been taken out yet. And then similarly, the damage dealt and damage received. Here you see Emla is absolutely carrying the team. And Mardek, Vern, despite being the people who have taken the least amount of damage, are the only 2 to have fallen thus far. Funny how that stuff works out. But anyways, I believe I saw that there was some kind of loot here. One over. Just a little bit of coins. And also, a little bit of stuff if we round back around. Oh, maybe not this way, actually. Here I was thinking that would reconnect. Emla, you do finally have the Resist Earth ability on. A little reminder to myself every time she goes first in a round. Okay, so these guys shouldn't be too difficult here. Esselin does have actually a fair bit of life here. Probably should have been paying a little bit closer attention. Deliberately targeting that guy with one of our stronger attacking characters, because, yeah, we've seen it before. Dugan has not a ton of damage, usually just barely enough, and I also forgot that Mardek is now one of those very offensive characters. We were saying it earlier, but still a little bit counterintuitive to me, where it's like, well, for most of the game, Mardek is not going to be the person carrying you offensively, but when he has that silver sword, he means business. And there is still something here. It's another mana berry. As for who we ought to put it on, I leave that up to you. And then, okay, so the way we double back, or loop around, is really going this way, down, and then we'll go around into the right to that other chest. And like I was saying before, theoretically, you could actually make a pretty decent case that we ought to make sure that some enemies get the chance to hit us. That way we can work on some of our defensive reactions, which are some of the few things that we are still looking to level up on our characters, in addition to the passive skills. The offensive reactions, we're doing pretty well on that front. Which also reminds me, did we equip the Quarry Undead on Mardek after we put the Silver Sword back on him? Let's see. Something tells me I probably forgot. We'll check it out. Granted, if he misses, that doesn't help either. Except, well, opportunity to get some defensive reactions in, so I suppose even that's not so bad. And there is another random mana berry drop. Maybe they're not so hard to get. Alright, Mardek. Did we remember? We did! Oh, man. Is he learning? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And as for all these guys, again, we probably ought to pay a little bit closer attention to who ought we take out with each person. I think blood clots are difficult because, ooh, uh-oh, they have the high defense, and that does mean that if we miss the reaction on Vern, it's actually 30 defense, not 25. If we miss the reaction on Vern, then he does deal 0 damage, so that was a bad play to miss that for sure. Otherwise, we would have been fine. And Dugan, like I was saying before, probably ought to target the lowest HP enemy between the zombie and the pestilence, so it looks like it is the zombie. And it is just barely enough. Then Mardek does have enough damage with the Silver Sword to certainly take out that guy. Blood Clot, however, it hits hard. Which is why, typically, I like to make sure that we take them out. Granted, opportunity to work on magic defensive reactions, and that's not so bad either. Okay, last chest in this area appears to be right over here. And we find the Bone Slicer, a double-bladed sword made of the bones of some great dead beast, meant for slicing the bones of other great beasts. It's especially effective versus the undead. And if we look closer at what exactly that thing is, let's see. Over here, it has 22 attack, 7% critical chance, and effective against undead. It is a double sword, meaning that it is actually a weapon upgrade for Zack. We have not seen Zack for quite some time, however, that would be an interesting option for us. Does give him access to a couple of new abilities. You see, Hoary Undead is listed as mastered here. That's because Vern has had access to it via the Silver Sword. However, Zack would need this Bone Slicer to be able to learn that ability, and also Crescendo Slash, which is a new ability that we've not yet seen on anyone, because Zack is the only person who has access to it, and only through that weapon, which is picked up. So, at some point, we will hopefully get the opportunity to try that out. For the time being, I think we will stick with Vern. Of course, we would need to get to a save crystal in order to do a swap to begin with. However, Vern is also rather strong, in case that wasn't clear. It's a little concerned. I saw that skeleton had the shield, and I was like, is Dugan gonna have enough damage to take him out? He does, though. No worries. So yes, I think Vern, at the very least, gets access to the Silver Sword before Zack gets access to the Bone Slicer there. So, early on, Vern seems like, to me at least, he is far stronger against these undead enemies that we find ourselves facing. Once Zack does get access to the Bone Slicer like that, which does also have the Hoary Undead and effectiveness against undead, then it starts to level out a little bit more. We could certainly start to make much more of a case for Zack. However, I'll have to double check, because remember that in addition to being effective against undead, the Silver Sword is also light elemental, and most of these undead enemies that we're going against are weak to light as well. That's even more damage for the Silver Sword. For that reason, I think, generally speaking, that's just another reason why the Silver Sword is so good in this instance. Even against non-undead enemies. That bat was not undead. Double negative, but you know what I mean. Because it's dark elemental, it does still deal a lot of damage to hit it with light attack. So let's double check. Is that Bone Slicer light elemental attack? Something tells me that is probably not the case. It is not. Okay. It does have slightly higher base attack. It has 22, whereas the Silver Sword has just 16. So in that way, it does hit a little bit harder against your standard enemies. But overall, I still think the Silver Sword is perhaps a bit more effective in this specific instance. And the Spectre is a little bit tricky. I believe previously we were deliberately targeting that with the spells, because he's kind of like the Blood Clots, and he's difficult to take out with physical attacks. Ought to make sure we're going for the highest HP enemy here, with Vern's humongous damage. And Dugan. Yeah, either one of these guys. Well, if he hits, should be fine. Minus Vitality of all things. It's a little odd, even though he dealt no damage. It does mean that he lowered Mardek's maximum HP there. Now Emla to finish things off. Granted, not permanent, just for the fight. But strange no less. did also get a couple of people to level up recently. Let's double check to see if they have additional reaction points now. That may or may not be relevant. I don't think Mardek was one of them. I think it was Dugan. Looks like he has the same amount of reaction points as Mardek, which implies that he will not have any additional reactions that he can squeeze in. Likewise with Emila and Fern. Don't think so? Okay. It's carrying on. And what is this dramatic stairway? Well, leads to another door. And another door. And a save crystal. Look out. You know what that means. Let's save. And, well, typically, I suppose that would be an opportunity if we wanted to swap over to Zack. Like I said, though, I think at this point in time, my preference is probably still to stick with Burn. I think we'll try to get Zack in when we can. But... what? Excuse me? Another zombie warrior? Rawr! Oh no! A plot unrelated boss monster! And that it is. Zombie warrior number 2. Completely identical, or at least extremely similar. Some of the items might technically be slightly different. Did the previous zombie warrior have a couple of gauntlets? Maybe, maybe not. But he is just as strong, of course, as he was previously, and we are, I suppose, a little bit stronger. So maybe that's reason enough for us to have some confidence here, but this guy still hits pretty darn hard, as you can see there. Now, we could use either Smite Evil or Disrupt Undead. Either way, we should be doing tons of damage, because this guy does have 100% weakness to light, and also is undead. So, take a pick. We'll go a little Disrupt Undead there, and practically takes out half of his HP in one hit. So you'd love to see that. And then Spirit Blade, I think we established, is also a good way to go, because a little bit of either weakness and weaker spirit than he has defense. So let's give that a shot here. Not going to be as much damage, but still pretty solid. And if we can get this guy down before he manages to go all enraged on us, that would be amazing. Mardek does the best he can to crit, and nearly takes there, and love the flame. No big deal. We even got a Great Axe, of all things, weapon that he was using. Plot unrelated boss monster down. Let's double check our map here, verify as to whether there is anything else over here for us to loot. There is not. You see, there's something over there. Green dot, which is usually the indicator for someone to speak to, and also a blue dot, which is an indicator for a door. Bear that in mind. Let's head on over, and uh-oh. MORIC. Roha. MORIC. Roha. MORIC. Roha. MORIC, did you come here to find me and destroy me? Yes, that is an accurate statement. Oh, good, because I feel awfully neglected. You were here for some other reason. You need to be annihilated, Roha. You know too much. You must pay the price for committing the act of traitory, scrubbing the back of traitordom, and suckling the sweet, sweet teat of traitorness. I was sent here to vanquish you, oh white anti-reaper. For if left to me, to breathe, to... Wait, Roha, you appear to have a completely different body. Unless I'm completely mistaken, yes? I do have a completely different body, but it's irrelevant. I'm still the same old soul, and I know all that I knew before the transfer. I see. As I was saying, if left to live, to breathe, to speak, and spread your knowledge, you could rally a resistance against us. Which is exactly what I'm planning on doing. And though it's unlikely they can stop us with the blood-prickling power of the violet crystal that we can harness, it would still be an inconvenience we could do without. Yes, hence my being here. But why did you Come. Surely you had a near infinite amount of lackeys you could have sent to do your dirty work instead. And why did it take you this long to get here? I mean, it's been 8 years or so. I got here from Anshar in a few weeks. When I came here, my goal was to destroy you and then depart. To rend you limb from limb, bathe in your blood and smear as your flesh was consumed by the beast and your pallid robe was torn into at least 17 shredded strips soaked in the humors of corporeal life. Since I arrived, I've realized there's so much more potential. Yes! Oh? What do you mean? Are you becoming more aware of what the crystal's doing to your mind since you're so far away from it and outside of its field of effect now? I said previously that the crystal gives us power, and I crave power. I lap it up like a starved mongrel that's also thirsty and rabid. Power is my drug, my purpose. Power. Oh, I drool at the thought of the things I could do with a clenched, shuddering fist full of power. But I digress, healer. No. What I came to realize is that this planet is oozing with the potential for power. The potential for me to have power. To suck it from like a no-fly sucking the juices from a newly hatched snaghound. To drain the power and absorb it. You see, with the ease of a nook leaping over a malodorous mound of rotting beast flesh, I could conquer this world. Have it in my grasp like a thing that is in my grasp. This is an undeveloped world. A class 4. They would worship me like a god and be unable to resist my curdling power. It would be just enthralling. Yes. Yes. Much more so than just killing you to death and then leaving. At any rate, yes. Yes. So, Emla, are you paying attention to any of this? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. That's not Mardek talking, is it? Is it some kind of demon that's possessed it or something? Something like that. I should really disapprove of this demon possession thing, being the holy righteous paladin that I am, but... eh. Are you sure you won't come to your senses more? I really don't want to destroy you. We used to be like brothers. You know that's a lie, Rohan. We are polar opposites in our fields of magic. You specialize in giving life, and I in taking it away, and then doing horrible, foul, turgid things to create perverse imitations of it. You always disliked me. I do admit that I didn't completely approve of your abilities, but dislike you? I think that's a bit harsh. You used to insult me regularly. You lorded over me, belittled me, told me I was a stain on the cloth of existence. When you were angry, at least. I could tell you thought such things deep down always. Yes. What? That's not... It wasn't like that. I was too shy, though. Yes, quiet. I just took the blows, said nothing. But it hurt, deep down. Yes, it scarred me. Like a keen knife carving gracefully through the flesh of one's pallid forearm. MORIC. Now, though, I have power. Yes, much power. More than even you, oh pale ghost. And I'm going to complete my mission now, before getting back to my own concerns. Yes, I'll tear your new body a few new orifices, into which I'll pour slime so foul and black it'd make you vomit in rage that such an atrocity should even have come into existence. Now is the time for you to pay so much, Rohov. Our governance will not return to the sorry state it was before. Die. And here we have it, MORIC. The guy who was sent here to take us out. And he has some friends. So, if we take a look here, he is a necromancer, he is an Anukai, he is Earth Elemental, and has this nifty looking weapon here, Mortis. He is the EVERREAPER, and he is extremely resistant, in fact heals to dark damage, and Earth Elemental. Fun fact, he was originally going to be the Dark Elemental Anukai, however, because Anu, the leader of the Anukai, was already dark, the developer chose to make him Earth instead. He is very weak to air, and very weak to light, very weak to aether. Actually, 100% resistance to water. No defense, no magic defense. High spirit. That'll be interesting, actually, as to what's more effective. Hitting with a normal attack, or using Dugan's Spirit Blade ability, given now he has relatively high spirit, however, no defense. However, that weakness to aether, how does that balance out? We'll have to see. And as for how we ought to start here, I believe, while we could try to hit all of his friends here, let's deliberately try to target MORIC a bit. Actually, before I say that, let's take another look at the turn order here. Just a second. Emilia, Vern, Dugan, and then one of the zombies here. This is MORIC. So, one of these guys is going first. I think it's you. I think that ghoul there is the fastest. 19 agility, 5, and 9. Yeah. So I think what we might actually want to do is, I'm anticipating that given how MORIC does have a shield on right now, we may want to use Dugan's Barrier Break ability, given how MORIC does have dark healing. We probably want to wait to try to damage him until we destroy that barrier, because we're going to end up healing away that damage that we deal. So for the moment, let's instead focus on taking out this guy, or at least coming close to it ideally, that attack there. And, oh, actually, that was the only dark enemy here, which does mean that it was not air that we ought to hit him with. Might have been able to take him out in one hit if we were to use fire. Okay. Vern, similarly, could very easily take one of these guys out. Not MORIC himself in one hit, but this guy should be able to finish the job here. As for Dugan, this is what I was referring to. Use Barrier Break, get rid of that defensive barrier. It will heal MORIC. And I think of the various zombies that we had here, that MORIC was tagging along with, the one that we took out there, I believe, if I remember correctly, is the most dangerous because it will hit you with some status effects. You see that Emilia does have the blindness effect on her. Not going to be terribly relevant this time around, fortunately, because she's going to be mostly using spells. Alright, now that the barrier is gone, let's start attacking more directly. He is technically, if we take another look there, one bullet here. Oh, except he's blinding most people. Gonna be more significant against Mardek and Vern. Take another look at MORIC, you'll see that he is an Anukai, meaning he is not undead. It does mean that the Silver Swords don't get their additional effectiveness against undead. However, they are light elemental, and as we saw, he is weak to light, so it is still useful to have them. However, not quite as useful as they previously were against dark undead enemies. So Emilia, now let's hit MORIC with some lightning. And the music as well is fantastic. So, Smite Evil deals bonus damage against dark elemental enemies. MORIC, like I was saying before, weak to light, yes. However, technically, not a dark elemental enemy. And likewise, not actually undead either. That does mean that Vern, like I was saying before, although he has been very effective up to this point, not quite as effective this time around, unfortunately. There was that question I was having earlier as to how effective Spirit Blade would be, given how MORIC is weak to Aether, however, does have relatively strong Spirit, so that's to find out. 200 plus damage, not terrible. Zombies will continue to pepper us a little bit here. Actually, Dugan, it's not looking great. Let's make sure that we heal him. He's the only person who's not blinded right now as well. And there you see, Emila's actually healing when she gets hit there, because those are Earth Elemental attacks, and put on the Geo Jacket, she has over 100% resistance to Earth, so got very lucky there. Let's, again, target MORIC here. Lightning Bolt, I believe that might be the most effective skill at the moment against him. Burn is awfully close, though. Damage is looking solid at this stage. Let's continue to try to target MORIC specifically. And it is adding up here. Granted, it would be great if you would leave Emila alone. Ooh, that's not good, Mardek. Because, yep, MORIC can leech life there, did damage Emila, where we marked Emila, who's looking not so great at the moment. Not urgent, but we'll definitely want to try to heal her at Mardek's next turn. And it did restore some of MORIC's HP. Let's continue to hit him with the lightning bolts, though. And we could, if we felt it was urgent enough, opt to heal Emila here with someone other than Mardek using an item of some variety, like a potion or better potion. I don't necessarily think that is required that we do that just yet. Oh man, missing the reactions and missing the target. Not a good sign. Continue to use Spirit Blade here. And it's getting him quite low. That crit, that hurts. And it is tempting to try to go all offense here, but I think we try to stay composed, focus instead on healing Emila. Keep her up, in case she does get hit here. Hold here. There. Singling her out, seemingly. You know she's strong. But with a few more hits like that, might be in the clear here. MORIC down. We do still need to take down his friends, but comparatively speaking, it should be fairly straightforward. And as for which one we ought to prioritize here, yeah, I was going to say either way, even if I had hit the reaction there, not sure that Dugan would have been able to take him out in one hit. Mardek does, however, have that Silver Sword, effective against undead. Oh, they're blinded. That's why everyone's missing. I do believe that is something we can get rid of with Remove Tape. Now that we are not as pressed for time, don't have to worry about more breathing down our neck. Maybe that's something we can take the time to do. However, Burn can finish things off like that. We get a Phoenix Pinion, which is actually a more effective version of a Phoenix Down. We'll take that. Antidotes. Zombie Dust. Good to see. I regret that I made no difference. Yes. Now, I come to you at last, my servant, my weapon, my master. Oh, it is done. Mardek, Dugan, girl, other guy. We should return to the surface. We can discuss things once we get there. This is no place for that sort of thing. Let's go now.
And here they are, the soldiers, no, the guards, no, the heroes who saved the day. The kingdom owes so much to your efforts and achievements.
Thank you, Your Majesty. We're flattered.
Keep this up, and quite soon you'll be official royal knights quite easily.
Your mission is complete. You soldiers will now receive your pay, 1,000 generic gold coins each.
Ooh! I'll be sure to spend it on, shoes or makeup or something. Me too!
You are now dismissed, guards. You better get some rest. It's been a long, tiring day for you three, I'm sure. Because it's totally been one day.
You'll be informed if any other missions become available.
What a day this has been. Ya lords truly smiled on us today. Anyway, I'm going to the monastery to pray for a bit. Then I suppose I'll stay at the inn for the night. Perhaps we could travel again sometime. But for now, adios.
Well, guys, this has been really fun. I can honestly say I've enjoyed traveling with both of you.
It's certainly a million times better than being in a party with Steely.
That's not saying much. Yes, Steely.
I'm just glad that you like adventuring with us. Let's do it again sometime. we'd certainly love your company. Hey, Mardek.
Well, definitely.
Good to know.
That thing with Mardek was pretty weird, though. That whole demon possession thing?
And so was fighting what looked like death, too. That's certainly not what I was expecting at all when I came to join the Gosnor Guard.
I'd love to talk about it all with you now, though, but I'm exhausted. I'll see you guys tomorrow, maybe?
Sure.
Good nighty-night for now, then.
I don't know about you, Mardek, but I'm completely exhausted, too. I can barely stand up. So I'm going to bed, too.
See ya.
Alright, and with that, MORIC is down. And this is probably a good place for us to wrap up this video, so I will see you all next time. What comes next? We'll just have to see.